Hi, welcome to the small shed. This Saturday we're going to do a little bit of a job for my wife. I think this is probably going to be one of the most simple ones I've done so far, but sometimes these things don't always go to plan. That's coming up next. Well, as I say, I think this one should be fairly straightforward. My wife wanted some dowel cutting to 24 inches long, I think, or thereabouts, to hang a quilted advent calendar for one of our grandchildren. And she wanted something to put on the ends, and all she could come up with was some wooden beads that she'd got, but the holes are way off, so I think it's going to be a straightforward enough matter of just quietly drilling out the holes in the middle, gluing them on, cut them to length, and doing that. We'll see how we get on. First of all, I'm going to unbox a few things that have arrived this week, and that'll be up first, and then we'll run on with this afterwards. Well, it's Saturday again, time to have a quick look at what's arrived this week in the shed and unwrap it. Pretty large parcel there from... been on the way from China for a while. I don't know what this one is. As I mentioned before, you forget what you've ordered because it takes so long to get there. Now that is a 12-volt electric motor with 30-odd thousand revs per minute, and is the plan A for the domino machine that I'm determined to build at some point. It's a long-term project. We've got now. That I think is some replacement bits. I've started to do some routering on the cyclone for the vacuum extract system, and I needed a 3mm bit, and I bought one of these and put it in the katsu, and I got about 2/3 of the way round a circle and it just completely disintegrated, and I did my usual trick of slagging off silver line for producing rubbish and no good and all this sort of thing, and I noticed it was fairly badly heated and burnt at the end. But of course, like all men, I then took to reading the instructions at the end, and it says quite clearly on the back, maximum 24,000 revs per minute. And of course the katsu is banging out 33,500, and I suspect I've just overheated it and it's pretty much exploded. And that's, I expect, also pushing it too hard. So that's a lesson learned. I've bought two this time, and hopefully I can get around the problem now by turning the speed down and taking a little bit lighter cuts, and we'll get the answer. That also produces a postscript to the katsu router versus the Aldi router face-off, on the basis that if you are using these smaller bits and you've got speed limits like that on them, it means you're not going to be able to use the Aldi because it's permanently fixed at 33 or 33,500 revs. Whereas, at least, I said in the video the speed control wasn't much use on the katsu, but clearly it's going to be of use in this instance. So that's what that one is. Get that rubbish out of the way. And then there's a small package arrived as well. I don't know what this one is. Oh, that's nice. Right. Yes, this is a little package that's come from Bongo from the Woodworking UK forum. All the best and many thanks, Bongo. It's a small collet which reduces the 1/4 inch on the Katsu or the Aldi routers down to a 1/8, and these are a set of little CNC bits which have got obviously a 1/8 inch stem. So they're mainly for carving out signs and hand routering on timber, but I can it actually gives me another option for this, because that one is pretty much the same size. These are CNC bits and I'm assuming they're designed to run much faster. I better just check with him on speed, but he was quite happily carving away with the Aldi router and presumably these sort of bits the other day, and there's a full set of bits there with different different profiles. Very nice. Don't know if you can even see those, but they're very nice. All sorts of different profiles. We'll try those out and see how we get on. I'm not intending to do a lot with the hand routering, but I would like to do a couple of signs. Oh, I can't say that one's very sharp because it's just come through the end and poked me in the finger, but that's more like a blade than anything. Yeah, very nice. So thank you for that, Bongo, and it's the poultry people on YouTube, so it's always worth a look up. YouTube, the poultry people, very useful. And that's the Saturday unboxing. We can get on now and move on to the main event. First step's fairly straightforward. It's just find a drill that's about the right size. I'm going to have to be a bit careful because, as I found out the other week on something that was made out of metal, but these will be the same problem, that if you're not too careful you end up splitting them in half. But we'll just give it a gentle go. One of the other problems I've got is that I keep dropping them and it's probably going to take more than a minute just finding them. I've just lost one of them for about 10 minutes. Let's put this on a piece of scrap. Very gently, not any pressure at all. Of course it doesn't have to be all the way through anyway. Really only needs to be enough to get purchase on the end. That'll be ideal. Let's do the other one. For once, as I say, I think this will only be a 1 minute job. Yeah, that's going to do the job. So all I need to do now is establish how long she needs the actual stuff to be, and we can glue them on and job's done. Now with the bead on each end, I'm just going to drill a small hole through the dowel, one at each end, so that I can actually thread some thin twine or braid or something, or a ribbon to hang the calendar from. So I'm just going to drill that out with a, I shouldn't need to mark it in any way. I think it's just a matter of getting it started. Just a matter of taking it slowly and gently and tidy it up with a bit of sandpaper. It doesn't leave a lot of meat on the actual dowel itself, but it's only supporting a bit of fabric, so it's not going to be a major problem. Now, so then with the cord, I've just put a bit of tape over the end to stop it fraying, and then push it through, turn it like a screw, and it should just force its way through fairly tight. Take the one end through. There's a pocket on the back of the calendar that my wife has sewn, so we just thread the dowel through. I've put some new covering on the bench because otherwise we'll get sawdust all over it and I'll be in trouble. And then that will, the spare stuff will tuck in. I'll probably just put a dab of super glue on the joint. We can then get a rough idea of length for the twine, but at the moment I'll just thread it through and we can trim it to length later. Pretty much the same thing. Just force that through. I suspect it might not even need the glue, because I think it'll hold itself together by friction anyway, but so that's tucked in there roughly at the moment. As I say, we'll do it to length properly when the powers that be decide that it's the right length. So that's the thing finished now. That's the advent calendar for my grandson. It's got lots of little pockets with numbers on it, and then we normally just tuck in sweets and little cars and toys and things like that in the pockets. So they've got their little advent calendar. That's yeah, very nice. Another little job, and at least that one's a reasonably quick one. So once again, another small job through the door of the small shed. This time it was only a minute or two it took to do it, but just shows the sort of variety of things I end up having to do. Hope the video was of interest. If it was, please press like and subscribe. Thanks to all the subscribers so far, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.